Hello everybody, my name is Maria del Rosario Martinez-Ordaz. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and I'm very happy about discussing with you how can we move from ignorance to knowledge to scientific understanding in big data contexts, and particularly which is the role that insights might play for this matter. So, first of all, the general intuition or the traditional intuition according to the epistemologists is that we cannot achieve scientific understanding in big data contexts. And the reason is very simple. Big data implementation in the sciences require us to rely heavily on statistical methods that have as a result mostly information of the form of correlations, but as correlations do not suffice for explanation, then we don't have much explanations coming from big data implementation. On the other hand, scientific understanding has been traditionally characterized as being explanatory, meaning that we first need to have achieved explanatory knowledge in order to later on achieve any type of scientific understanding. That said, it seems quite intuitive that these two things are incompatible: the requirements for achieving understanding and the types of results that big data implementation give us in scientific disciplines. Nonetheless, if we look at scientific testimony, we will find that scientists will accept clearly that correlations do not suffice for explanation, but anyway, they also claim to have gained certain types of understanding when working with big data in their disciplines. So, how is this possible? The main idea that I have is that this can happen only through the identification of certain insights. So first, let me characterize what an insight is. So insights for me are beliefs that first are formed through unclear, opaque or unrigorous processes, and that in that sense are linked to types of epistemic lack. But despite this, they seem to be strong, informative, and robust enough to guide our adoption or rejection of beliefs. And finally, insights allow us to evaluate some epistemic virtues of specific sets of beliefs, considering the ways in which other beliefs relate to them. That said, what I think that often happens is that even if we are ignorant of which are the procedures that are followed by algorithms and programs in big data contexts, once we get an output that it's groundbreaking and that it's obtained through processes that we might not be able to even access epistemically, if we accept such an output, or we consider it to be true, we form a belief of the form of insights. We might not have clarity about which is the procedure that justifies it, but we know that there is something in it that is groundbreaking and that must be true. That said, these insights are going to be part of the core of the understanding. But don't think of understanding as being like an onion, like having different shells. Think of understanding as building a network. So networks have nodes and have lines that connect these nodes, right? So the insights are going to be the nodes of such a network. The connections are going to be given by our theoretical framework, by other intuitions that we have about how certain things must or should relate to others and so on. But once we have a very successful, groundbreaking result coming from big data, even if we cannot explain how it was obtained, we can posit it as a node in our network of understanding. What will be the result of this? Maybe we will not be able to give causal explanations. Maybe our understanding will be not causal in the strongest sense. Maybe even we will not be sure about how much what we think we understood relates to the actual world. But we will be able to provide us with something that is often called modal understanding, meaning we will have a network that constitutes a possibility space to be navigated, and that will, in a sense, be constrained by the nodes of understanding that are coming from the insights. So now we will be able to determine how the worlds in which the insights are true, the possible worlds in which the insights that we have are true, would look like. And this is the vast understanding that we can get purely from the outputs of big data. So in this case, what I want to say is that if we mix having ignorance of how the outputs are obtained, this is the inferential procedures that can be followed for obtaining successful outputs in big data practices, and we mix them with the acceptance of such outputs in the form of insights, then we will be able to build networks of understanding and achieve model understanding of what is happening in that domain. And all this thanks to the implementation of big data in scientific disciplines. And despite having ignorance of the theoretical structure that governs the data sets that we are working with. So this is a win-win scenario. We can explain why scientists feel or have the feeling of having gaining understanding when working purely with big data implementation. And we also have the intuition of gaining a weaker sense of understanding, but embracing the most successful outcomes of big data in order to do so. And that's it. I look forward to discuss more this topic and maybe to discuss a particular case study. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Bye!